Is this on Instagram also?
No.
Okay.
Connect to Instagram. Just YouTube and Facebook.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can see us. You have your phone set.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not going to time out on the phone. Set. Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right. Okay. Okay, so Ebony says she cannot hear us.
She says she cannot hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ebony can't hear us. Okay. So can you hear us now, Eb?
Can you hear? No. Can you hear?
Okay, so Ebony says she cannot hear us. Okay, she said I can hear you. Okay, so now she can.
Okay.
All right.
Can you hear? No.
Yay,
Can you hear?
Ebony, thank you.
I can now. Okay.
Yay,
All right. Great.
Thank you, Eb. Okay, so now she can. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made the call, Ebony. You're the first one. Yay. We needed that because we needed someone to do our sound check. So now we can talk before anybody else gets here. Let's talk about this roommate. Oh, God. That is so crazy. I wanted to send you a meme and tell you, Ebony, run, 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 run. Yeah, she's got her place, but she's got a crazy situation going on over there. But anyways, yeah, exactly. You gotta know when to see the writing on the wall, right? I know. Okay, we're gonna stay positive, right? But no, you conveniently did not give me all the details about that. I was like, wait, what? You never told me that. But I'm gonna send some good vibes out there, and we're gonna get that place, which is amazing. I saw the video. I love it. That is so you. So I'm gonna be sending those vibes out there. But so anyway, we're using a new system today for the first time, which is it's called Restream, and it's going to different platforms. So I can't tell you how happy I am that you showed up. So because we didn't even know if this was going to work, and so we appreciate it. But Michael, Ebony is she's doing well, and her trainer is MIA. That sucks. But she didn't let that stop her.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got Mama's on the call. Hey, she says she can see us and she can hear us. Well, thank you guys for showing up early and giving us our sound check. We were just talking to your granddaughter, who is being proactive with her fitness. She's working out on her own, Michael.
That's outstanding.
She's
Hey,
like,
taking
look,
initiative.
Like, forget that. She ain't letting nothing stop her.
That's how it should be. Like Sandy says, can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I like that.
So yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if this is your first time joining us, we do this periodically. We do our nutrition power hours or workshops, if you will, and just to speak about different aspects of nutrition and make sure we're on the right path in our health journey. So today we're going to be talking about your diet and making the connection. Is your diet making you sick? So we're going to be discussing that and answering any questions that you may have about your diet, or even questions about workout, of course.
Right.
Because all of it matters, all of it's relevant.
So we with this new system here,
yes.
Supposedly everybody kind of can come to one place on the chat, but I don't exactly know where the chat is. I don't know if it all comes here or not.
Okay, yeah, because we're chatting.
We're using it through the app.
Oh, you know what? Can I access the app from the computer?
You absolutely can.
Okay. All right.
So guys, we're here a little early. We're just waiting for some more people.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's still on.
Oh, okay. We're just waiting for a few more people to come on before we get started. Technically,
I'm just going to try to.
Technically, it's not our start time yet, so you guys can just.
Okay. Let me just
chat. I just have to get the code for you so that you know how to.
Okay. So, I just want to log on to.
Actually, rhythmrumble.com. I think it's Rumble.
Okay.
21.
Okay.
But let me just double check that.
Is this a Vimeo app?
No.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It says live stream. Stream labs. And I tell you what, it is hot in Phoenix. If you're not in Phoenix, look, right about now, it's a good thing because it is roasting.
It's Rumble 2021 pound.
So is it livestream.com? Restream. Oh, okay, Restream.
It's
okay.
Staff at Rhythm
Restream. I'm sorry. I'm thinking live stream.
Rumble
I'm sorry.
2021 pound.
Restream.
Okay, so technically it is 4:30. So let's just talk about, just kind of give a a preview of what we're going to be talking about today, and in this.
Before you do that, why don't you help me? Just take a second to help me get on.
Okay, you just have to log in wherever you're looking for the login.
Well, yeah, I need.
Wherever it says login. Yeah.
Okay, already have an account. Okay, here it is. Okay.
So in the spirit of how we do with our fitness family, when you come into the room,
staff at Rhythm Rumble.
Yes, just say hey, introduce yourself if you come in, and just so that you know, rhythmrumble.com.
Right. Okay.
Let say hi and introduce yourself.
You gotta write down password for me. Write that down.
Okay.
You gotta write it down.
Just Rumble 2021. And then we're gonna go over what we're gonna be talking about today. So today we're gonna be focusing on. The title is your diet making you sick? So the reason we came up with this title is because a lot of times we notice that, people experience a lot of discomfort, whatever it is. It could be inflammation. It could be your, just these weird aches and pains. Some people have chronic fatigue. Some people experience chronic migraines. Mike and I both being in the fitness and wellness industry, obviously, for so many years, we run into a lot of people. We deal with so many people over the years, and we hear a lot of the same things. People experience a lot of the same discomfort and a lot of the same illnesses. So, we came up with this title because, a lot of times we realized from not just in theory, but from experience, that these discomforts, these illnesses, these pains, these aches are related or diet related, but we're not connecting the dots. Sometimes it's diet related. Sometimes it has to do with some ingredients that's in your food that you're not really making the connection. And one of the things that we also noticed is that, throughout the years, is a lot of times people have these hidden, or advertisers deal with, deceptive advertising, and, there are these hidden ingredients and things, and they play, there's all kind of stuff going on. We have to put our detective hat on to find out what exactly are they putting in these foods. So what we thought would be a good thing to do is to try to shed some light on some of the ingredients, some of the hidden toxic ingredients that may be in your food that could be affecting you in a particular way, and you may not know. You just may not be aware of it, right? So we wanted to kind of shed some light on that today, and just kind of give you some insight on that, just to remind you of the forum. It's not rigid, right? So it's like if you have a question, or if it's something that you want to ask, and just come on in, ask the question, say what you need to say, and we just kind of flow, together. So that is our focus today, and we're just Michael's doing some things behind here.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to access this from the. I hope I'm doing this right.
I don't know if now's the time to
access this from.
Michael's experimenting right now, and he's living life on the edge right now. I don't know how comfortable I am with it.
I'm just trying to figure it out. So I haven't been able to thus far just tune in from that. So I'm just gonna right now, I'm just gonna tune
let's
in
get back
from
here.
Facebook.
So Darnika is here, Ronnie is here. I've got my eyes back. Darnika, long time. What I love about our journey in fitness, we just meet so many amazing people, and they're there forever. Like we go through so much together, and it's always a good testament when you're connected with people. Darnika is one of those people, one of our long-term clients, so really good to see her on. Ronnie, so good to see you. Ronnie joined us I think a couple of weeks ago with our Rhythm Rumble workout online. So yeah, we're really excited to see you. So just to, again, today we are talking, the topic is your diet making you sick? So we wanted to kind of delve into that and kind of talk about some ingredients. What we're going to do as we move forward is we're going to reveal we're going to put our detective hats on, right, Mike?
Right.
Putting on our detective hats, and we're going to give you a toxic an ingredient checklist, so that you will arm yourself with information, and hopefully you won't be in the dark anymore.
So,
and know what to look for.
First of all, let me say this, since we're streaming on different platforms. Again, If you just joining us for the first time, I'm Mike Jones, and this is my wife Cheryl Jones, and we are fitness instructors and nutritionists, and we are speaking about just fitness and nutrition topics. Today we're going to be talking about is your diet making you sick? Is our title, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
okay. And another, just to add to what you were saying in the beginning, it's not just our personal experience where we've noticed people having issues, but statistically, the instances of diseases are going up and up and up each year. Right now, specifically, it's estimated that a little over half of all adults have at least one chronic illness. And that's a lot of people. We're talking about roughly about 20 million people that are dealing with one or more chronic illnesses or diseases. This is a diet, for the most part, a diet-related issue. So we want to delve into some things and just talking about what are the possible habits or lifestyle changes that you need to make in order to avoid some of these illnesses and conditions, or maybe even take some corrective actions. So we're going to be talking about that today.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I just want you to scroll down so that I can actually see what's going on, and welcome anybody else who may come into the room. Yeah. So that is our focus today. And then what by supposedly 2020 by 2030? What are they anticipating?
By 2030, it's estimated that nearly about 70 to 75% of all, we're just over 50% now, but nearly about 70 to 75% of all adults will be, afflicted with some type of chronic condition or illness, one or more. So that's a serious projection. And so, with that said, we really need to, those of us who are not focusing on our body and our diet really need to take heed and let's get more serious about what we're putting into our body.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so, like always, we like to talk about our mindset. Mindset is everything, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
So I wanted to kind of start there and put the question, like Michael said, those are some pretty hefty projections, right?
Yes.
2030, nearly 75% of the United States being in discomfort with some kind of chronic disease is pretty serious.
And when we say chronic illness or disease, we're talking about things like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, and these are a few of the main things that we often hear and that people deal with. Arthritis, chronic inflammation, all of those things that people are dealing with today that cause pain and discomfort.
So the first thing I want to delve into, Michael, is, and I think it's a reasonable question, is how did we get here? How did we get here to this space? So my first question mm-hmm. is, would you say, we're living in an information age, right?
Yes.
So my thinking is, my question is it lack of information or misinformation? Because mm-hmm. we're living in an information age, right, so there's plenty of information. There was a time when we say, we just don't have the information.
Yes.
So is it a matter of information or misinformation? That's my first question.
Lack of information.
Lack of information.
I definitely don't think it's a lack of information, because as you said, information is now at a fingertip. I remember when I was coming up and we had no information at all on fast foods or any foods. They could basically tell us what they want about these foods, and we were none the wiser. We just went with the confidence, the government wouldn't allow them to serve us anything that would kill us, right? Well, no, wrong. So upon further review, these foods are horrible for us. And we were just, setting ourselves up for, diseases and illness later. Mm-hmm. But right now, the information is available. However, as you said, I think a lot of misinformation is being put out as well, because I see a lot of conversation and justifications for eating a lot of the bad foods. We hear a lot of times, and we hear this as a trainer, I only do it occasionally or every now and then, or it's okay to do it every now and then. Well, that's kind of true. I mean, it's still poison and it's still toxic to your system, even if you do it every now and then. But when people say that, the thing is, are they really doing it every now and then?
Well, one of the things that you talked about was the news and the media.
Yes.
Like, where is this misinformation coming from?
Yes.
Because it is so available, information is so available to us. One of the things that I remember you mentioning, Michael, is that, in the news, a lot of times they give these surveys and so on and so forth. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, you hear a lot on the news especially. They're very good for dropping these information with the tag of surveys shows or studies show, and
Wine
then they go
and
blah
chocolate.
blah blah. Studies show that wine or chocolate is good for you, and I see it consistently, and you know, I have to chuckle because it's most of the time this information they're given is very much embellished, because they'll give you half truths, or they'll repeat something that's true at its, let me say, at its core, but untrue for the most part. And what I mean by that, when they say chocolate is good for you, well, sure, chocolate in its raw, unprocessed form is actually very good. You know, it's high in minerals, especially magnesium. It has what's called alkaloids, and it's very good for you. However, when you get it in the form of a candy bar or a chocolate bar, it's been processed, and most of the time chemicals have been added, or other additives such as saturated fats, dairy, and a lot of other additives that change the entire complex of that chocolate. Especially heating it up always changes the molecular structure, and that, you know, doing that always, you know, affects whether, you know, something has the same effect on your body when you consume it. So while, you know, at its core, you know, chocolate is actually healthy in its raw form.
But how many people eat it in its raw form?
Nobody's, you know, very few people are getting it in the raw form. So again, you know, subconsciously they're making people feel like, oh, you know, I can eat chocolate.
Well, it's okay to drink wine.
It's okay to drink wine because of the resveratrol, but they're not telling you all the, you know, chemicals that are added to wine that when they make it, you know, in terms of, you know, just the processing part and the chemicals that are added to it that make it unhealthy.
So again, we're talking about how we actually got to, you know, to this point. You know, we're basically living in a very unhealthy society.
And let me add to another thing that has just been a big issue or greatly lacking in our society is the education in terms of our body and making the connection of how food affects our body. I mean, think about it. We go through high school and college, and we learn little to nothing about nutrition and foods and how foods affect our body. So as we get older, we really don't make a true connection of what we eat. I mean, we hear the term "you are what you eat," but it's kind of a you know, a by the way type term. We don't really make that connection, meaning like the foods we eat, how it's affecting us all the way down to the cellular level. And by not doing that, we just kind of think that, you know, just whatever we eat is going to work for us, and in most cases that's just not true.
And then we have the issue of advertising and deceptive advertising. We're going to be talking a lot more. We're going to delve into that also in more detail later. But basically, I think that what's happening right now is because of this whole health conscious movement that really has been brewing over the past 20 years or more, right? That advertisers have taken advantage of that and have actually used that to deceive us in terms of our products and ingredients, etc. But we'll delve into that more so that you can kind of pull the wool.
As we get wiser, the advertisers become more deceptive and more cunning because they still want to sell their products, and you know, so they want to make it you know, attractive or palatable for you, and so they start to use different names. So we'll talk about that as well.
And the other question I have for you, Michael, like how much of, you know, our trust in organizations that we believe are put in place to help and support us, such as the FDA, you know, for example, you know, our trust in these organizations, like, for example, you say to yourself, oh, well, if the FDA approves it, then it must be okay to eat. Or it must be okay. How has this, helped
affected,
us and, or
yeah.
hurt us.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely hurt us, and because most of us have been given that false security that
Right.
the FDA and the USDA are all operating in our best interest and are making sure that the foods that we consume are safe. Well, technically or actually, the FDA and the USDA really don't really expect like a lot of the foods on the market. Like all foods don't really go through the FDA because all of these government agencies are severely undermanned, and they don't have the manpower to police our food supply like it should be. And that's across the board with the FDA, USDA, EPA. They have very little manpower in terms of doing their job. So what happens is they're relying on the companies to self-police or self-report. And the companies basically operate, they're basically operating on an honor system. So it's almost like, okay, you operate on an honor system, but if you happen to get caught, then you'll pay the pay the fines, or you'll answer to the circumstances, so to speak. But a lot of these foods are on the market that have additives and things that haven't been approved or actually run through the FDA. So just keep that in mind. Every food package or every food that you eat has not been inspected or gone through the FDA. A lot of it is the honor system. So,
And then along those lines, though, how lenient are they, and how strict is the FDA in terms of?
Exactly, and they're not very strict when it comes to certain things. There's a lot of things that are allowed in our food, and they call them, generally recognized as safe chemicals or additives.
Give us an example.
Well, for example, let's talk about fast food, since we mentioned fast foods. Fast foods, and a lot of people may not know this, but most of the meats in these fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Burger King, etc., are produced from what's called byproducts. And byproducts are simply the scraps in these meat producing plants. And when I say scraps, that could mean the hoof, the heads, just whatever they don't use in the regular meats. All of those scraps are used to actually produce these fast food burgers. But in order to make these scraps safe, because there's a lot of bacteria in these scrap meats, they use a chemical. They use an ammonia-based gas to actually clean the bacteria or kill the bacteria in these meats.
And the FDA approves this.
And yeah, exactly. And this ammonia-based gas is toxic to breathe, to touch, or anything, by hand when in its natural state. But they can use it on foods to, quote unquote, kill or purify the product, and the FDA approves it, and they consider it a safe process.
That is
so. Sometimes we face stuff that are processes that they allow because of the whole lobbying thing, but that's a whole different story.
But that's just one example.
That's just one example of the things we face. So
Ebony made the yucky face. Ebony, that's how I feel when I heard that. I was like, oh, that's so disgusting.
Yeah, so that's what you're eating when you eat those fast food burgers many times, and unless it.
But see, there may be some people that are like, well, I don't eat fast food, but that's not the point. The point is that there's a leniency there. There's a certain amount that is allowed.
Right.
Allowed, even though it's not. They allow a certain amount of toxins, a certain amount of poison, a certain amount of whatever. So we need to know that.
They allow a certain amount. I read this one time. It was a while back, but in tuna, I think they allow a certain amount of I want to say rat droppings or something like that.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me right now, Mike Jones.
It was totally disgusting, but but they allow a certain
disgusting.
amount of you know, stuff like that in foods, you know.
Right.
Sometimes I guess it's best if you don't know everything.
Yeah, well, now you know. you
Right.
took care of that, Mike. But that's what you do.
I'm gonna look that up, but I think it was like a certain
Yeah,
a certain amount of rat droppings.
Yeah, where they call. Yeah, thanks
And
a lot,
it's definitely
Mike.
a certain amount of mercury per. You know.
If y'all didn't know, Mike's a scared straight of nutrition, so you know he likes to give us those graphic things, but you never forget them. I really appreciate it. It's disgusting, but we need to know. You know, we need to know, right? So we again, you know, we talked about these these feelings that we have, right? Sometimes we may feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm tired all the time. I don't know why. You know, and when we can't blame it on the Arizona heat, right? Yeah, now we can blame it on the heat.
I think it was 117 or something like that.
117 today, crazy. But there are times when we can't blame it on obvious reasons, and we're just feeling tired all the time, or we may feel like, you know, things, we have joint pain or migraine headaches, you know, just things like that. And somehow we tend not to. It seems to be like we don't connect it with our diet. You know, I mean, even if it's something that we ate, we may have eaten something earlier that day and then it shows up in our body later on that night, and we don't make the connection that, oh, it's because I did this, you know, at 8 o'clock this morning, my body's responding in that way. So there seems to be this disconnect between what is happening in our body and our food, and so why is that the case?
Well, let me just share conceptually on, you know, how our makeup in terms of how food and the nutrients in food, you know, affects our makeup. So essentially, our body, we're made up of literally trillions of cells, you know, operating and functioning. And those cells make up our organs, and, you know, and so on. Our organs make up our systems, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But our life is on the cellular level. We literally are alive on the cellular level. So that's where life starts. So I say that to say, in terms of foods, there's micronutrients and there's macronutrients. So macronutrients are the carbs, fats, and proteins. Micronutrients are the vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. So when we eat foods, if they're low or absent of the micronutrients, which are the vitamins, and minerals, and enzymes, and we only have the carbs, fats, and proteins, then we're not getting the nutrients to our cells that we need daily. Now, what happens? Now, the carbs, fats, and proteins, the macronutrients, can sustain us in terms of energy and using, like our body uses fats and proteins to rebuild and build our tissues, our connective tissues and muscles and things like that, and uses the carbohydrates for energy, et cetera, et cetera. But when we talk about the cells, our cells operate on those vitamins and minerals, those micros, so those vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. So if we're just getting mostly macros, which a lot of people's diet consists of mostly macros, then our cells are being starved on a daily basis. Now, two things happen. One thing that happened is our cells continuously signal for us to eat more, because your body's is in survival mode. It's doing what it does and helping you to survive. So it's constantly signaling to eat more in order to get those vitamins and minerals needed. Now, the second thing that happens, if it doesn't get those vitamins and minerals that's needed, you experience what's called cell death or early cell death, and your cells begin to die off. Now, in the long run, what happens is this is what begins to contribute to chronic illness, chronic diseases, and even early death or shortened lifespan, because those cells begin to die off. So I'm saying that to say is we got to make that connection, as you said earlier, and understand that we need to feed our bodies on a daily basis. We need to feed our bodies foods that contain micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and enzymes, such as fruits and vegetables primarily. That's where the bulk of our vitamins and minerals come from in natural foods. And also, I'm a big advocate of supplementation.
Absolutely. We'll talk more about that. Mm-hmm. But what do you say to those people who say, because I have to play devil's advocate here. There's some people that may say, well, my grandfather, he smoked every day and he drank every day. He lived to be 100 years old. So, right. Well, I mean, what do you say to comments like that?
Well, I mean, everything is about the context and the times that we're living in. Yeah, sure, your grandfather may have done all those things, but guess what? Our grandparents ate meats that weren't injected with hormones and antibiotics. They ate vegetables that were actually richer in nutrients than the vegetables we have that are mass produced today. Those farm-raised, those farm-grown vegetables, I think it's estimated that fruits and vegetables have a third of the nutrients that they once had years ago when they were grown on natural farms. So they eat more nutrient-rich vegetables, meats that are not injected with. And also the vegetables weren't.
They had balance. There was balance.
Well, the vegetables weren't all sprayed with a bunch of pesticides either.
Exactly.
And also the meats weren't injected with all the hormones and antibiotics that they are now. And guess what? They were constantly moving. Everything required work.
It was a different lifestyle.
So it was just a different lifestyle. They weren't sedentary.
So, Ebony, the next time your father says that to you, you know what to tell him now. And it's not just him. It's just like so many people say that. But what they're doing, like Michael said, is they're superimposing the past onto the present. It's a different set of circumstances now. Yeah. Like Michael said,
different times,
different lifestyle. We weren't bombarded with the pesticides and all the other stuff. So it doesn't. We don't have anything to balance it out. Back then we had things to balance that out. Right. So so that's the response to that. And so again, we just wanted to kind of delve into how did we get to this point. I think it's really always important to talk about the mindset, because we can give all the solutions we want. If we don't change our mind or change our paradigm or change our way of thinking, then ultimately we're not going to connect those dots. Right, and we'll find ourselves repeating the same thing over and over again, and it's like Groundhog's Day.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, before, I want us to delve into some of these ingredients, but I just want to say one last thing and or ask you the question, what we're looking at right now, Michael, with all of the condition that we are in health-wise as a culture in this country, would you say that we're looking at the results of pretty much of when the whole shift in our food industry changed over 100 years ago?
Sure.
This is what we're looking at.
Sure, the industrialization of the food supply, meaning we started eating a lot more boxed and cans, what we call processed food items versus just grown naturally from the farm.
That was introduced when?
In the early 1900s. That's when the big industrialization era of food took place, especially foods. Yes.
And prior to that, we were eating fresh foods, farm-raised foods, organic foods naturally.
It was more market type vegetables and fruits and grains, and now things begin to be put in boxes and cans and preservatives added to it, and then manufacturers found cheaper ways to produce stuff and ways to the chemicals to add to give it more shelf life. And man, all hell broke loose once they began to discover these chemicals. And then they began to add more and more and more to the food supply. And now we deal with thousands of chemicals, literally.
And so that's what we're looking at.
Yes, we're looking at.
So that's what we're looking at, guys. That's what we're looking at, ladies. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the result of something that was initiated, like 100 years ago. And so it's important to know that, though, what we're looking at, because we have the ability to turn that around.
Yes.
Right? We have the ability to change that. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Like,
Right.
how do we be, okay, so that was a mistake. It was convenient, but it was a mistake, right? Because it got us here. So what do we do now? Because when we know better, we do better.
Absolutely. And again, it's about, paradigm shifting, because they got us thinking that a lot of our foods, especially the young generation, they thinking a lot of the food's supposed to come in a box or a can.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
Yeah, and I'm talking about that's not real.
I have the funniest. So I can attest to this.
Yes.
So our nephew, my mom was fixing some mashed potatoes for my nephew. I think he was, I don't know, he may have been about 10 at the time. And, so she went through the trouble of making real mashed potatoes, taking the potatoes, mashing them up, so on and so forth. And he told her he didn't want them, that she didn't know what she was doing, that's not real. He wanted real mashed potatoes. She said, what do you mean real mashed potatoes? This is real mashed. He was like, no, that's not real mashed potatoes. And he was referring to the mashed potatoes in the box. So he had no concept. It was completely out of his realm of that mashed potatoes do not come in a craft box. I mean, that's insane. And he was arrogant arrogant about it too. So pretty bad.
So he asked the questions: Do you think old sports injuries can be affected by bad eating habits? Absolutely. Bad eating habits can exacerbate anything that you have, any injury or anything that you may already be dealing with.
Yes.
Because bad eating habits can increase inflammation. And if you have an injury, your inflammation, first of all, inflammation is your body's response to any injury or any issue that any chronic injury that has created a chronic condition. Inflammation is your body's response to it. And bad diet or inflammatory foods will always exacerbate that particular issue that you're having at that joint. So the best thing. Well, I mean, I'll just give you one tip, and this is just off course, so to speak. But you know what? I'll share that at the end. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you a great product that can help you deal with that issue. In addition to diet.
Yeah. Okay.
Diet, so just eating more nutritious and alkaline type foods also helps. But
yes. We'll give you some tips on that, Akil, at the end for sure.
Yes.
So we want to delve into the meat of why we are here today, and we have what we call our toxic ingredient checklist. So there are some ingredients. Again, we've become more sophisticated over time. Thank goodness. We're more informed in general as a community, as a society. So there are some names and ingredients that we all are hip to now, that we know.
Yes.
We're on to them now. We know that these things are not good for us, but yet we still want to address them, at least bring them up. And then we're going to talk to you about some things that you may not know, because they play games. They change the names. They're names that you think you know, and then they're hip to it. They start changing the name so that you wind up looking at the same thing, but you don't know that that's what you're looking at. So we're going to address that too. We're putting our detective hats on now. We're not playing with this. We have to really stay on top of this and be radical about our health, okay, and our and what we put in our body. Right. So let's talk about this checklist. And I would say, these are not in any particular order, but we're going to talk about the checklist. So one of the ingredients that you definitely, which most of us are hip to now, and if you're not, high fructose corn syrup. I know you've heard that, a lot of bad rap around high fructose corn syrup over the past 10 years or so.
Or corn syrup.
Or corn syrup.
In general, it doesn't have to say high fructose. Anything that says corn syrup.
Right. So, Michael, tell us about corn syrups and why they're not good for you, and what effect that they can have on the body.
Well, corn syrups are chemically produced. Number one, they're not a natural sweetener. And anything that's not natural, number one, your body always has an issue processing it. And the way corn syrups are processed, because they actually contain fructose, is in the liver immediately converts it to fat. Right. Immediately. Right. So it converts it to fat. It causes more immediate or rapid fat storage, and it causes more fat buildup in the liver, which can ultimately lead to a condition called fatty liver disease. So these corn syrups are just wicked on your body's system, and even on the cellular level, there's some issues in terms of how the cellular uptake of these sweeteners are particularly processed. So
what I heard is corn syrup equals, corn syrup is really hard on the liver.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Jen. Okay, great, Jen.
Hey, awesome. Jen, I'm glad you're tuning in on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
So again, if you just tuned in or you're tuning in, we're zeroing in on
before you say that,
yes.
Jen, did you comment from YouTube or are you commenting from Facebook?
Yes, I would be curious about that. Let us know, Jen, if you're commenting on YouTube, because this is our first time streaming on multiple platforms at the same time. So just let us know that. But anyway, so if y'all didn't hear that, corn syrup. Whenever you see corn syrup, run, right? So Jen has said both.
Yes.
So
excellent.
whenever you see corn syrup,
thanks, Jen.
Run. Okay, that's one of the ingredients, and especially if you have liver challenges already, you definitely want to stay away from that, because it can kind of wreak.
I'm sorry. I just noticed.
It could wreak havoc on your liver. All right. So again, jot that down. Corn syrups. Look for that in your ingredients.
Anything corn syrup, corn sweetener, anything that has fructose in it, stay away from it, because it's all the same. And they use fructose because they want you to think about, well, fructose is from fruit, right? Yeah, it is. But when you extract it from that fruit, it becomes a different animal. And now it becomes something that's really bad. Right. So within the fruit, it's fine. But taken out of its natural state,
not so good.
It's not so good.
Okay. All right. So the next one, again, we're going over our list, our toxic ingredient checklist. The next one, you may have heard this lot of noise around hydrogenated oils over the past decade or more. Hydrogenated oils. Michael, what are they talking about when they talk about hydrogenated oils, and how is it affecting or harmful to the body?
Well, again, hydrogenated oils are a chemically produced fat, also referred to as trans fats, but it's a chemically produced fat that, once again, your body does not understand how to process. It's not a natural it's not an oil found naturally in nature.
Right.
So it does some really nasty things in the body, especially causes a buildup in your arteries, a plaque buildup in your arteries, which can lead to strokes and atherosclerosis, which is a condition of the arteries, but it can lead to more serious things like strokes. So hydrogenated oils are wicked on the system. I mean, there's a whole list of things that it does to harm and poison your system. But most of us have become conscious about trans fats or hydrogenated oils. So they tend to try to hide them in a lot of the products.
Yes.
But they're still using them in a lot of fast food places and probably even some restaurants. So still be conscious and be aware of foods that you get from restaurants, especially if they're fried foods, because they're still using hydrogenated oils. And if you're using anything such as corn oil or any type of vegetable oil, that's the same thing. That's a hydrogenated oil. And so stay away from that.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
let's go on. So
Did you mean to turn that on?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did. So
Okay.
let's move on to our next one.
Okay.
All right. So next ingredient that we want to look out for, we're on our toxic ingredient checklist. Artificial colors and flavors. We've grown up on those things, right?
Yes, and
artificial colors and flavors.
yeah, and we see
Still,
those, and we kind of, we've gotten used to seeing them, and we kind of just, not take them seriously. Let me just say that.
Right.
But artificial colors and flavors, specifically artificial flavors, are produced using petroleum or petroleum based. And if you don't know what petroleum is, that's gasoline. so they're petroleum based.
Woo,
So,
baby.
So both artificial colors and artificial flavors are, once again, they're toxic to the system, and they cause a lot of issues, especially in children. When you talk about this attention deficit disorder that children are experiencing, artificial colors and flavors have been linked to stuff like that.
So you mean those Fruit Loops that our kids are eating in the mornings?
Yes.
And our high C punch and all of that stuff and all anything. So I mean, man, we see.
So you loading them up with sugar and these artificial colors and flavors, and then now they're hyped and they can't stay still or sit still or pay attention in class. And then they talk about, well, they need to take this medication to calm them down. No, we just need to make sure they're not being pumped with that sugar and those chemicals in the morning, and it would totally change things.
Well, I don't know about. Back.
All right, sorry about that. We're dealing with Cheryl's new iPhone, and okay. Oh man, that's crazy. All right.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
All right.
Back.
So
okay.
Everybody's gotta reconnect.
All right. So we gotta.
Okay. Wait till people reconnect. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. We're back.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Well, I don't know if everybody.
I don't know if you guys are back,
so,
but
give us a.
We're just going to, we disconnected by mistake. So just to review while people are coming back on, in case other people are not back on. If you come back on, just say you're back.
Yeah, give us
so we know that you're
a
back.
Thumbs up or something.
So we don't miss too much.
Right.
Okay.
Give us a like or a thumbs up.
So basically, we're going over our toxic ingredient checklist. Darnika's back.
Darnika.
Thanks,
okay.
Darnika.
Yeah.
So we're going over our checklist here so far. Toxic ingredients to look out for: corn syrup. Anything that says corn syrup, just know that it's going to affect the liver. Dorothy's back. Ebony's back. Hydrogenated oils, another
artificial
one.
Colors and flavors.
Artificial colors and flavors made from petroleum as its base, which is the same substance we use in gasoline.
Yes.
Ugh, not good, right?
Yep.
So what is our next ingredient? MSG. G. Okay. All right. And Laura's back. Hey, Laura.
All right.
Okay. MSG. Again,
All right.
if you came back, just give us a heads up that you're back so that we don't move
Yeah.
too far ahead. All right. So
Yeah.
MSG, we've heard that over and over again. You guys
Yeah.
are going. This is going to blow your mind, right? MSG. Michael, tell us what MSG is, what it does, everything, and then we're going to tell them, we're going to give them an idea of where they will find this MSG. Go ahead.
Well, MSG is a flavor enhancer, and it's really ubiquitous in our food supply because so many different products use it because it does make the flavor pop. Man, you get some MSG in there, it's gonna make it taste good.
So whenever you're like, "Ooh, this is good,"
yeah, making your tongue tingle,
and you can't stop.
Yeah, and it's an addictive.
Right, it is addictive.
It actually makes the food addictive.
It's crazy.
Remember that commercial, "Bet you can't eat just one"?
But you're right.
Loaded with MSG.
And okay, I'll tell them this in a second. But I guarantee you, if it's anything that you find that you're going back and back, and like Michael said, it's addictive. Like, this is really good, and you find yourself just binging on it. 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, it has MSG.
I'm telling you,
it does.
But anyway, MSG is what's called an excitotoxin, and excitotoxins literally cause brain cell death. And when they say the term excitotoxin actually indicates your cells being excited until it causes cell death, or and more specifically, your brain. So they just
like
death. They just
it's just like going into a frenzy, and then they just kind of die. They die.
So so MSG is very dangerous for kids, especially really young kids, because their blood-brain barrier is not as developed as adults. We have what's called a blood-brain barrier that kind of protects our brain from a lot of the damage that could be done through MSG. However, it's still damaging to adults as well. But and it's something you want to avoid or limit as much as possible. But the problem is MSG is used in so many things, and restaurants are notorious for using it in their seasoning because again,
they want to make you come back to the restaurant, right?
And they want to make the food pop. And they want to make the food taste good.
Yeah,
so it's really hard to identify, and especially when you're going out, because you literally have to ask, well, what all your ingredients are, and you don't want to really be seem like a jerk when you're talking to the waiter. But for us, this list of chemicals, and we can post that.
Yeah, we're gonna post it.
List of additives. We can post it because it's crazy, the list of additives that MSG is actually found in, and you see this on a lot of your food products. So we'll post it. We'll read
some of it when we get to it. We got to get to that in another section. I just want to get on with it. We're going to come back to it. We basically have.
Why don't you just read it? Let me read it now.
Okay.
We can just go through it real quick. We don't have to come back to it.
Okay. Well.
Okay. For time purposes. And again, we'll post it. But these are just some of the names: autolyzed yeast protein, calcium glutamate, carrageenan. And you see that a lot in a lot of the almond milk stuff, I noticed. Glutamic acid, hydrolyzed corn, ingredients such as hydrolyzed, protein fortified, ultra pasteurized, fermented, or enzyme modified, magnesium glutamate, monopotassium glutamate, natural flavors. A lot of times when you see natural flavors, this MSG is a catch-all term. So the way they can put MSG in products now is use these catch-all products. Exactly. So they can sneak it in there on you. But anyway, of course, soy and salt. It's just a long list.
It's crazy.
It's hard to avoid it all, but at least you'll know. And a lot of the stuff you can avoid, because some things you may be dealing with that MSG causes. There's a lot of allergic reactions people have from MSG too.
Yeah, Jen shared with us that she had to learn because it gives her migraine.
Yes.
Right? Like once you begin to identify.
It's notorious for giving people migraine.
It is.
That's one of the, matter of fact, MSG and aspartame are the two most
Well, we're gonna,
reported.
and that's so funny you would say
Yes.
that, because that's we're gonna talk about that next.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted to make a point before I forgot. We talked about this earlier on, and how we don't make the connection between food and what your body is telling you. Like, your body will tell you what, what it wants and what it doesn't want,
Yes.
what it's good for. But what's happening is we're not really tuned in, because there's a disconnect. We're not connecting food and that migraine. We're not connecting food and that joint pain. We're not connecting food and the inflammation. We're not making that
Yes.
connection. So when our body is talking to us, it's like an isolated incident. When we're eating our food, it's like an isolated incident, and we're not realizing that the two are related.
Right.
However, once you make that connection, like for myself personally, I made the connection because I dealt with fibroids, and I know that soy is it's like a candy shop for when fibroids will grow whenever you have soy. So sometimes I would just know when some soy was in my food, even if it's not something that was revealed. I know, because I know the way my body's reacting. Jen knows when she has a migraine that more than likely she just has some MSG, because she made the connection. So we want you to start to make the connection between what your body is saying about what you're eating. Your body's telling you what it likes and what it doesn't.
That's right.
Right? So I just wanted to kind of make that point.
And just one crazy thing, real quick.
Sure.
And a lot of times we do, like concerning dairy, how a lot of people, especially when we get older, our body rejects dairy, which is dairy is not good for you whether you're old or young, but our body definitely rejects dairy when we get old. So what do they tell us to do? Oh, take this pill and you can eat dairy. So your body's telling you that
don't eat dairy.
Don't eat it. It's not good for you. But we go for the marketing of taking the pill to force it on our body.
Right.
So that's in itself is crazy, but that's how we're conditioned to operate, in against our own best interests in terms of health.
And against our intuition.
And
against our body's intelligence.
Exactly. Our body's
all of that.
I like that.
Our body's intelligence.
Yes.
So speaking of, Michael mentioned, speaking of soy is the next thing on the list. All right. Soy is in everything. It is horrible, guys.
Yeah, they use it as an additive in so many things. Forget just not eating the product soy. You got to really watch for all the soy-based additives. I mean, there's always soy lecithin or soy oil, and you name it, from
soy this,
salad dressings to packaged foods.
Why is soy bad? What is so horrible about soy, and what? Just give us an idea.
Okay.
Why soy is bad and what it does to the body. How is soy harming our body?
Okay. So let's start from the list. Okay. So number one, soy has what's called lectins. Number one, lectins and phytates. Okay. Let's talk about phytates. Phytates actually block the absorption of essential minerals such as calcium, magnesium, iron, and there's one more, but calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc.
Soy blocks that.
Soy actually blocks the absorption of those essential minerals. Number two, soy is what's called a phytoestrogen, which means it adds estrogen to your body, which, from a woman's perspective, it may sound good, but it's really not. It really throws off the balance of your estrogen testosterone levels in both men and women. And men, it could cause a lot of issues such as fat gain and lowered drive and lowered energy and all these things. And women, it's more serious, because in addition to causing weight gain, it can cause the promotion of tumors, fibroids, cysts, and even cancer promotions. because most of the soy you're getting, by the way, 95% of the soy that's used in products and that are on the food market is genetically modified. So we're dealing with that, and there's a whole number of things. But let me just say one more thing. Soy is also what's called a goitrogen, which means it stops your thyroid gland from the utilization of iodine. And what happens is it causes hypothyroidism, which means it lowers, which is going to severely lower your metabolism and create a dysfunction or malfunction of your thyroid. So it's got all of this stuff going on. And there's a couple of more things about soy too.
I think you've given us a lot, but I do have to ask you this.
Yes.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate. Well, if soy is so bad for you, why? I mean, how come they use it in a lot of health restaurants and vegan restaurants? It can't be that bad.
No, yes it can. Yes it can. It's all been a marketing ploy, and one that has been really bad for the country. That whole marketing thing, especially the whole idea about, well, Asians eat soy and they don't have a problem. Well, that's not necessarily true. Asians eat very little soy, not like they're purporting it to be. The Asians don't eat that much soy. They only eat a small amount, and they use it as a complement. They don't use it as a main course. They typically use it as a complement. And also, most of the soy they do eat is fermented. And fermentation actually lowers the toxicity, which are the lectins and the phytates of the soy. So it lowers those toxic properties within the soy when in the fermented form. But however, even in the fermented form, it's still not. I wouldn't recommend eating it at all. I mean, I don't touch the stuff. But if you're going to consume it, consume very small amounts and make sure it's in the fermented form. But otherwise, I would stay far away from it.
So you may have just killed some people's favorite vegan restaurant.
Yeah, they are extremely misleading people with that whole soy kick. It's a money making ploy, and it's just it's just misinformation. It's part of that misinformation campaign.
So Jen says she never has to ask questions. We cover it all. Yes, and I do, thank you, Jen. And on that note, I do have to say, so Michael, what about our beauty products and stuff? Soy? Do you find soy to be in these beauty products?
If it is, stay away from it, because anything you put on your skin goes into your body. And keep that. That's another thing people don't make the connection, that anything advertised in vegan food, soy protein isolate. Who said that? Yeah, yeah. Let me. Yeah, Ebony. Okay, yes, I see soy. Yes.
Yes.
And they put that a lot in vegan products.
I didn't even see
that. And anything. Yes, stay away from that.
Yes. So that's soy.
Yeah.
Okay. Recapping: corn syrup, hydrogenated oils. These are the things to stay away from. Artificial colors and flavors, MSG, soy. The next one is aspartame. Aspartame.
Yes.
Okay, Michael, let's talk about it. What is aspartame,
well, that's
and why is it bad?
It's a chemically produced artificial sweetener that, again, it breaks down, and once your body breaks it down, it actually it turns some of it into MSG, and some of it breaks down into formaldehyde. And we all know formaldehyde is the embalming fluid. Yeah, that's what you remember in science back in the days. You used to have the frogs. Yeah. So I was saying earlier that aspartame and MSG are two of the food additives that are reported most to the FDA in terms of adverse reactions.
For migraines, right?
Yeah, for everything, just any type of adverse reactions. Those two foods have the highest amount of reporting. but specifically aspartame, one of the big things with aspartame is that they've connected to causing brain like lesions in the brain. So
wow. Okay, but let's not brush over that.
mhm.
Let's not brush over that. So aspartame equals. I mean, I know I like to simplify things. Brain lesions, possible.
Yes, yes, possible.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I don't
Yes.
think that that's something to really brush over. That's a pretty big deal.
And all of those artificial sweeteners, aspartame,
Which we're gonna
sucralose,
which
is what's the yellow pack called? Sucralose.
Then we had equal.
There was well, aspartame is equal, and I forget that Splenda. Splenda and Sweet and Low. All of those things are no good. Stay away from those. Use the more natural sweeteners like the monk fruit and the stevia.
And so Bridget wants to know what is a good natural makeup line to use. And I don't have the answer to that question, but if anybody knows, put it in the chat. We can kind of look into that because that's a good question.
And that's a very good question, and that's something. Yeah, anybody that knows, I don't know a good natural makeup line. But to my point, what I was saying earlier is that anything you put on your body goes into your system. Anything you put on your skin goes into your system. That includes soaps, shampoos, lotions.
Yes.
All of those items, especially shampoos. If you got a chemical-based shampoo and you're washing your hair with it, it's right by your brain. So those chemicals are being absorbed in your system. And I'll give you an example of how chemicals go through your skin because, in the medical field or medical community, there's a lot of treatments that they give you through patches, right? They tell you to they have birth control patches. They have these nicotine smokers patches. They have medicine patches, and you just put it on your skin, and guess what? It goes right in your system. So that right there, that example tells you how porous. Well, your skin, your skin is porous because your skin is actually an organ, but it tells you how fast stuff is absorbed through your skin to your system. Yes. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're using lotions and use natural stuff like shea butter or cocoa butter and stuff we use coconut oil, like jojoba oil, and all these natural things that don't put harmful chemicals in your system. The saying is, if you can't eat it without getting sick, you shouldn't be putting it on your body, right?
Okay.
That's the rule of thumb.
So next is sugar.
Yes.
Sugar. Obvious, but we didn't want to overlook anything.
Yeah. I mean, sugar is just we've heard sugar is not good for you all our lives, but do we really pay attention to it? Sugar is what's called an anti-nutrient. And what I mean by that is sugar actually, not only does it not add anything to your body when you consume it, but as it passes through you, it takes away nutrients from your body as it passes through you. The reason why is because sugar is very acidic. It produces an acidic, it produces acid in the body, and your body has to use some of its stored alkaline minerals, those same minerals I talked about earlier. The calcium, the magnesium, and minerals like that to neutralize the acidic effect of sugar. But what happens is when you consume that sugar and it pulls that calcium and magnesium from your bones and your connective tissues and your joints, then what happens now, it creates a deficiency in those areas where it would normally be used for the process of building, rebuilding, and repairing. So now it weakens those areas that require those minerals, and then they become weaker and weaker. So that's how sugar weakens those areas, in such as teeth, bones, joints, all of those areas it weakens because it pulls nutrients away. So it's an anti-nutrient.
So basically what's happening is when the system sees sugar come into the body,
yes,
it realizes, it responds, and it realizes that, oh my God, there's something toxic in the body, and it goes to it kind of drops everything. It's almost like an emergency, like 911 SOS. let me go and balance this system out because this is such a toxic.
Yeah. Well, it has to keep the bloodstream balanced.
Right.
So, I said this before, the bloodstream is the sacred fluid in the body.
Yes.
Because why?
I love that.
Why? It goes everywhere in the body, meaning that blood runs all through you, especially through your brain. So when the body detects something that's out of whack or off balance in the bloodstream, it has to react immediately because that blood can't stay unbalanced or toxic for long because it will get to the bloodstream, it will get, to the brain, it will get to the heart and the lungs and all of these vital areas that need to have a purified blood state running through it. Right. So your body has to respond as soon as possible.
And so that's what you mean by it actually is an anti-nutrient because it's taking
nutrients. It's taking vitamins. It's taking minerals away from the areas where it would normally be used from your organs, from your bones, your connective tissues.
And the body has to do this.
And your body has to do that in order to make sure that it stays balanced. Mm-hmm. Stays balanced. In that balanced state.
And I just want to acknowledge Dorothy says relaxers. Yes. Hair relaxers, chemical relaxers also very damaging.
Right.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay.
And I do not have a relaxer, by the way. Just want to make that clear. But so the next one is GMOs, genetically modified
organisms.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
And that's big in our food supply right now. A lot of genetically modified foods are being genetically modified additives and foods are being used in our food supply. So anytime you see something, they don't use genetically modified as much anymore because people are a little wiser, as we spoke about earlier. They just simply say modified now. So if you see anything that says modified in the additives, it's a GMO. So you want to stay away from GMO because even now, we still don't know the long-term effects of how GMOs will affect our body because they're foreign.
So we don't really know.
Yeah. They're foreign, but we have some evidence of them being cancer-causing, but we just don't know all the different long-term effects from eating GMOs. Hey, what's going on, KJ?
So I wanted to acknowledge, first of all, of course, acknowledge KJ. Hey, KJ. And also Darnika. Darnika says something really good. She said you also have to watch the ingredients of vitamins.
Very good.
Because a lot of these toxic ingredients are hidden in things that we are taking to get healthier. We're going to touch on that in a second as well, Darnika. Very, very good point. So we just went over the list of what ingredients that you want to look out for that are pretty well known now. Again, we've becoming wiser as a society. We're recognizing these ingredients and a lot of buzz has been going around about it. And so those are some of but we didn't want to take anything for granted. So these are your top ones that you want to look out for. If you see any of these ingredients that we just mentioned, Michael talked about how they're going to harm the body and you should stay away from them. We also want to move into really quickly what happens is because you all have become so sophisticated and so knowledgeable now, what the advertisers are doing, and this is kind of speaking to your point, Darnika, what they're doing now is they're changing the names. So there are things that, it's the same thing, but they oh no, they know about this now, so we need to call it something else. We just kind of wanted you to be aware of that so that you don't fall into that trap. Some old ingredients with new names. We touched on it earlier. We said MSG. So Michael, MSG, he talked about the damaging effects of MSG and
the names
we're going to post these names. There's a lot of them, but we're going to post these because there's so many of them. But also know something really simple. Whenever you see something that says other ingredients, they have now allowed them to put MSG under other ingredients and just kind of toss it in there, so you won't even know that it's there. So whenever you see other ingredients,
excuse me,
you might, more than likely, they're hiding that MSG in there.
Yeah, so many, deceptions and ways they're adding, these harmful ingredients now. And to that point, we talked about earlier, Cheryl and I was just discussing the whole thing about organic and how it's been kind of overused in a lot of ways, and also it's being deceptively used in some cases now, because although typically to say a food is organic, you have to have at 95% of the ingredients must be organic, but still it leaves a 5% window for them to put something in there that's non-organic and that may be even toxic. But even if it's 70%, which leaves a 30% window for other ingredients or other ingredients that are not so good for you, they can still say made with organic. They can't say it's an organic food, or it can't say organic this, but they can say made with organic ingredients. And we've seen that a lot. So if it says made with organic, it's all about the wording and what's allowable. So if it says made with, that means only 70% of it has to be organic. So, there's all types of deceptive advertising allowed in the food market. And what happens is the food manufacturers constantly lobby to say, no, you need to allow us to do this. And, they pay and eventually they let them do it.
So I do want to address Jen's question. She said, can you explain a little bit on how GMOs are made?
Well, the GMOs are actually genetically modified seed, and it's created through a laboratory process where they're actually combining different genes, literally genes or strains of different foods together to create these particular new seeds or new molecular structures in food, so to speak. Like a GMO corn is not the natural corn that was produced by nature, or a genetically modified vegetable is just not what was naturally produced by. It has a different molecular structure. And, one of the reasons supposedly is that they make them so that they're less susceptible to being consumed by bugs or the little creatures, and for whatever other reason. But my thing is, if the bugs don't want to eat it anymore, that should tell us something, right? That should tell us, like, if the bugs don't want to eat it, then that means we shouldn't be eating.
Right.
But yeah, it's actually a scientific creation of a different seed or strain that they actually grow and create this this new unidentified form of food. When I say unidentified, its structure, its molecular structure is unidentifiable.
So Jen has a typical Jen response. So cotton candy grapes don't grow in a while.
Yeah, I doubt it. Now there's some naturally. A lot of times there's when we people will say, well, that's that is not a naturally I forget the term I'm looking for, but some vegetables were produced by a naturally occurring modification, which means seeds naturally cross-pollinated.
Right, happened to us.
Yeah, it happened to us with a tree in the backyard. We had
an orange tree and a lemon tree, and they cross-pollinated. So we had orange lemons.
Exactly, we had
that
orange
was natural.
Lemons. So things like that happen naturally in nature, and that's fine. A lot of those vegetables actually work for us, but when it's the way it's been manipulated by man in laboratories is not the same. Right. They've done some manipulation that's created some stuff that our bodies just don't know how to process.
Exactly. So
Wendy Dion asked a question.
yeah,
She
she
says,
wants to know about
alcoholic drinks and diabetes.
Back to sugar.
Well, yeah, alcohol is a sugar.
Right.
It breaks down into your body into a sugar, and also alcohol is a toxin or poison to your body, and your body actually reacts to it as if you've ingested poison when you consume alcohol. So it has a particular chemical that it uses to break this toxin or this poison down. And anytime your body ingests poison, it has a chemical, and I forget the name of it, and I'm referring to it as a chemical, but it has a chemical that it actually releases in order to try and process it. Now, obviously, it can't process all poison, but alcohol is one that it can.
But would you say the same thing about wine?
Yes, it's an alcoholic beverage. Yeah,
so,
wine. Yeah.
So the belief that wine is good for you, you're saying that that's not true?
Yeah, because the good part of wine is not the alcohol; it's the resveratrol that comes from the grapes.
Right.
That's the beneficial part. But unless it's made without like chemical processing, then it's gonna it's not gonna be healthy for you anyway. And besides, you can supplement, eat grapes or just supplement and get that particular nutrient.
And just real quick, just on the same line as the sugar, give them an example with that experiment with the rats.
Well, I mean, for time purposes, I don't want to go into that right now, but because we're pushing time.
Okay.
So I'll give it another time.
Yeah, but
just to Wendy's question, yeah, alcohol is a sugar, so it is definitely going to raise your blood glucose when you consume it. And of course, with diabetes, most diabetics are type 2. And type 2 diabetes can be controlled with diet. You just have to reduce the sugar and reduce the carbs. So even though carbohydrates, there's some good nutrients in whole grain carbohydrates, you still have to reduce overall your carb intake if you are a type 2 diabetic, because that ultimately carbohydrates break down into sugar. So alcohol, especially if you're diabetic, you got to stay away from it as much as possible.
Absolutely. And so, Michael, what are some of the new names for corn syrup that, because they're not using corn syrup anymore because they're hip to it. We're hip to them. So
corn sweetener, tapioca syrup. Anytime you see anything that has again, fructose, corn sweetener, tapioca syrup, all of these little things are secret names for corn syrup.
Tapioca spelled Tapioca.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tapi.
So whenever you see those names, you're still looking at the corn syrup. Okay, they just changed the name so that they can throw us off. I think we talked about GMOs.
Yeah, we did.
Now they're just calling it modified foods. So whenever y'all just see something that says modified foods, know that they're talking about genetically modified organisms. This GMO, same thing. They're just changing up the names because we're hip to them now, right? So we just got to stay on top of them. We just want to finish up with some other things to look out for as far as just deceptive advertising. And I'm sure whoever thinks this is important to them, they'll stay. Whoever doesn't. So we are running a little bit over time, and Michael's a little concerned about that. So we just wanted to give you some other little tips, and then just really talk about our solutions and what to do, and answer some more questions if you have them. Again, we are tuning in on different platforms, so if we, I'm Cheryl Jones, Mike Jones, we're both fitness instructors, fitness experts,
health coaches,
nutrition, creators of Rhythm Rumble, all that other good stuff. Okay, so some deceptive advertising. So speaking to Darnika's point, Darnika, you were saying how they are now. You even have to when you're trying to be healthy, you think you're being healthy. They're still manipulating and putting things in vitamins and things like that. And we wanted to talk about that. I think this goes in that whole section. Let's talk about that first, the vitamins, and how people who think that they're, well, I'm going to do that afterwards. But Gatorade is one. Gatorade has been promoted as something that's really healthy, and it really isn't, correct?
Right. I haven't looked at the ingredients a long time, but I know at one time they were using corn syrups in Gatorade, and I don't know if they changed it, so I haven't actually looked at it. But at one time they were using corn syrup and artificial flavors
and colors,
and colors, artificial colors and flavors. I know they probably still use those, but and they put a lot of sodium in it as well.
So if you want your electrolytes, just do something simple and tell them what to do. Mike.
Well, you can get electrolyte drops and add them to your water. You can also use coconut water. Everybody doesn't like coconut water, but it's one of the best electrolyte drinks that you can consume. But if you just want regular water, you can add electrolyte drops, and the electrolyte drops are very inexpensive. And basically, electrolyte drops are alkaline minerals. So, when you hear, they're one and the same. Electrolytes, alkaline, water, it's just water with electrolytes. So you can add them.
Right, okay. Vitamin water.
Yes.
Any such thing, Michael?
Yes. Well, I mean, we talked about this many times in the past where, deceptive advertising, how can they sell you something that has artificial color and sweeteners in it and call it water? I mean, come on. They're selling you a fruity looking drink and saying this is vitamin water. It's not water. That's Kool-Aid. It's punch. But
punch and Kool-Aid
through marketing, they got
repackaged.
They got everybody calling it vitamin water. This is not vitamin water. It's juice.
That's juice. Okay. All right. So don't fall for that trick.
Right.
The next one, diet soda. What do you have to say about diet soda? A lot of people hooked on soda. They're trying to get off that soda, and they use diet soda.
Soda in general. I mean, you want to avoid soda like the plague. Soda is very harmful to your system, especially diet soda, because now you got the harmful effects of soda on steroids, because you're adding artificial sweetener to the phosphoric acid, the sugar, and the tap water that sodas are already made from. So now you got an extreme toxic bomb there. So stay away from sodas. That's one of my no bargain food drinks there.
Yes.
Donika
had a
yes. You can drink alkaline water. That's correct.
So Donika's, the question was, can't you just drink alkaline water? So
yes.
Michael's answer is yes.
Yes.
So I want to say to people who doesn't know that was the question. So what do you think about these organic gummy bears?
Yeah, so that's to my point earlier when I talked about how organic has been misused and just overused in a lot of cases. We're saying organic on candy and gummy bears, and I mean it's become ridiculous. Most of the gummy bears, I don't know what bases they're using, but I know typically gummy bears are produced from pig scraps or pig fat. So that in itself, is enough right there to say, hey, you don't want to do that.
So the point is that
Yes.
the word has been overused,
Yes.
and just we got to always put our thinking cap on. But let's get to the solutions, so we wrap it up here.
Yes.
So I want to just leave them, Michael, with what your so what are your top 3, Michael, non-negotiables? Meaning, there's some things that, Mike's a nutritionist. He's going by many names. Some people call him the food Nazi and all those things. He's had all kind of names over the years. But he's known for being, really strict. But over the years, he's been very much more reasonable and saying, okay, listen, take your time, move slowly towards this release. Yes. But I want to know what are you saying that you will absolutely not bargain on? These top 3 things that you need to stop today. What's number 1?
So as Cheryl said, I understand that people have to change their lifestyle slowly and kind of work themselves. Most people have to work themselves into a different eating habit, different pattern. I was always the type of person, if I see that it's bad or no good, bam, it's shut off like that. And some people are built like that. Some people just, look, if it's no good, that's it, no more. But I know some people, especially if you've been eating something for a while and you've developed an affinity or just that taste for it, so you want to wean yourself off. But when Cheryl was talking about these items, these are my no nonsense, non-negotiable. Like, you got to stop this now because they're super harmful, and they're going to promote to illness or early death. And soda is one. That's my number one.
So number one is
Number
soda,
one,
guys.
soda. And real quickly, the reason I say that, soda is probably the most toxic drink that you can consume. It's made with phosphoric acid, which is extremely acidic to your system. It's made with tap water, not purified water. When you see the water in those sodas, it's tap water, and tap water has everything in it, from chlorine chemicals, mercury, lead, the medications that people take. Because remember, tap water is all made from those that recirculated water from your sewage and toilet and all that stuff. So that's tap water. So it's got all of these different chemicals in it that you deal with, in addition to the phosphoric acid and the sugar. And we talked about what sugar does to your body. So it's got all of these super acidic, super toxic foods that literally destroy your body as it goes into your system. And soda is so acidic that your body has to neutralize so much of your stored minerals right away. And if your body didn't do that, or didn't have the minerals to neutralize that one soda would literally kill you. And I forget how many cups of alkaline water it takes to neutralize just one can of soda. But as I said, if your body didn't have the stored minerals to neutralize that soda, it would literally kill you. Just that one soda. So stay away from soda. If you're drinking it, stop it immediately. I've had clients I had a client that was literally drinking a liter of soda a day and had all types of issues going on, and she just didn't make the association.
Yeah.
And I got her off that soda, and I swear it was like it was like magic.
Wow.
She, so many of her issues began, especially like pain and arthritic joints and inflammation. All of that stuff just literally reduced, or and some things just like stopped happening. So that soda is a big no-no. Number two is
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable, of course, is soy.
Soy. We talked about that.
We talked about soy and all the damage that soy does to the body. So soy, I would say stay away from it. As I said, the fermented, it's okay in small amounts, but I wouldn't even recommend that, especially if you're a woman and you're dealing with any type of issue like cyst, fibroids, or anything like that. I would avoid soy like the plague, and not look in everything and try to avoid soy, because it will worsen the issue with anything you're dealing with like that.
So Jen has a question: Are sparkling waters or sparkling coconut water better?
Definitely.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
Jen. That would be a yes.
Yeah,
all day.
you can get stuff that's naturally carbonated without the phosphoric acid. So that's definitely better. So if you like the whole carbonation thing, you can. They have options at the health store. And Cheryl and I, we like sparkling water. We like a little sparkling water occasionally too. But even the drinks, the drinks they have at the health store, you can get naturally carbonated drinks. But again, when we talk about liquid calories, always remember, anything that's in a liquid sugar form is not going to be good for your system. It's like mainlining sugar.
Yep.
And anything that's in that liquid sugar form is going to immediately be converted to fat. So just be aware of that and try to consume as less liquid sugar calories as possible.
Okay, so those are your three: soda, white sugar, soy.
Yes.
I want to wrap up.
Well, I didn't go by white. I didn't get to the white sugar part, but white sugar was the third one.
Oh.
Okay. So, and we talked about that too. all the harm the white sugar is an anti-nutrient. So it causes mineral loss as it passes through you. So those three things there, if you're still consuming either of those three things and you cut those out and just start consuming water or things that are healthier drinks, then I'm telling you, it would make a big difference in the way you feel and even in your weight loss journey.
Absolutely. So Darnika, I just want to finish up with Darnika. This is a very good question and a good segue into our close regarding vitamins and supplements, because we are really big on vitamins. And listen, I mean, just in conclusion, we have to be radical about our health. I mean, that's really the bottom line, right? We've got to be really radical about it, taking positive, radical action when it comes to our diet.
Especially if you're dealing with one of those chronic conditions that we talked about earlier. If you're dealing with any type of chronic conditions, i.e., high blood pressure, diabetes, or any type of just inflammation, arthritis, any type of condition like that you're dealing with, it's definitely important that you become radical and take charge.
You do. You have to become radical. And if you weren't here in the beginning, one of the statistics that we talked about is that, by the year 2030, we're looking at like 75% of the people in this country having at least one chronic illness that they're dealing with. And that is a really radical statistic. So in order for us to change, we have to take some radical measures. Right. What does radical look like? What does radical look like? I have a family member who was raising his daughter. She's never had fast food. I think she's probably, I don't know, she could be 10 now or 11.
Yes.
Never had fast food. She's never eaten any kind of red meat or anything like that. He raised as a vegetarian. That's radical, right? He put her way ahead of the game. As far as supplementation is concerned, you all know that Mike and I have been in this game for a minute. Michael's we've spent hours, especially Michael in particular, hours just doing research, trying to find supplements that he could recommend to people, and that we can take ourselves, that we feel comfortable with, that we know is it's quality, and are real supplements, and he'll talk about that in a second. So what we did was we did something really radical. We started our own supplement line. That's radical. So we talk about what is radical. Radical. We have to be radical. So about these supplements, speak to Darnika's comment, because I think it's really, really important. Supplementation is important.
Right.
It is important, and what's the difference?
Well, I'm a big advocate of supplementation because, as we talked about, life it begins at the cellular level, and at the cellular level, we need what's called micronutrients, which are vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and most of us, and the way we live and the way we eat in our society, we are not eating a sufficient amount of fruits and vegetables to give us our daily complement of vitamins, minerals that we need, especially if we're living an active lifestyle. If you're on the go and you're working out, as we are, your body needs a little extra versus what's normally recommended. So I typically recommend vitamins as an insurance policy to make sure, in addition, and vitamins are not to replace eating a healthy complement of nutrients through foods, but it is to assist or complement those that diet. So it's used as an assurance policy to make sure that you're getting your daily complement, so that you're not experiencing cell death on a daily basis as you move through life, and you're not making yourself more susceptible to chronic illness as you go in the long run.
Okay, so I hear you, Michael. I want to make a change. Okay, there it is right there.
Keeps
Okay,
blocking
so
out.
sorry about that. So I hear you, Mike. I want to make a change. I've never been one to do supplements, but I hear you, and I'm going to make a change. I think I'm going to go to GNC. I'm sure that they have a whole over Walmart.
Yes.
Walmart's got a lot of vitamins.
Oh man, what is going on?
I don't know. Well, just do what you just did before. Whatever you did. Oh, here it is. Right, we're still live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're still live. Sorry.
Okay,
We're still
maybe that's my screen. I'm sorry.
But it's okay.
Okay.
So what do I do,
Okay.
and can I just go ahead and get any vitamin?
No. So vitamins are definitely not all cut the same. It's because my vitamins are such a big market now in terms of a moneymaker. So any and everybody are producing vitamins now, and the majority of the vitamins on the market are synthetically produced, meaning they weren't derived from real foods. And so synthetic vitamins are much different from vitamins derived from real food. So because the structure is different, they're man-made, and man just cannot duplicate what's the complexity of what we get from foods. Even though they say, oh yeah, these vitamins and minerals.
So all vitamins are not created equal.
Exactly, because the structure is very complex in foods. We even though they claim they haven't figured out how to recreate all of those vitamins that are in food. So that's why you have to get vitamins that are derived directly from food. And what I mean, that vitamin should say whole food or produced from whole foods, and it'll say it on there. If it doesn't say it, that means it's synthetically produced vitamins, and it's not going to give you the same as a food nutrient. And what happens is when you take these synthetic vitamins, it does similar to what I talked to you about sugar, where your body, it tries to complete this vitamin. And many times in that whole process, like it'll get ascorbic acid, which you find a lot in vitamin C's, you'll just see ascorbic acid. That's an incomplete vitamin. And so when you take this, your body, in order to make it usable, your body tries to complete it. And what happens is we lose a lot of minerals as our body's attempting to complete this. Right. So kind of the same way. And a lot of times they add binders and fillers that are not good for us also. So you getting a vitamin from GNC, Walmart, and a lot of these places, the drugstores, you're not going to get a quality vitamin most times. And so your vitamin has to, or should say, food-based for you to get the most.
So let's do this. So they have something that they can have a takeaway or walk away with, as far as the vitamins are concerned. So put in the chat, Body Natural Nutrients. We have our own supplement line. It's called Body Natural Nutrients. Again, quality. We make sure that it is derived from whole foods. And if you haven't been one to take, obviously we are big on supplementation. We take a lot of supplements. But if you're not used to that, we want to talk about what are some definite, you want to definitely get these 3 things in your, in your arsenal to kind of, to start with, right? So you want to make sure that you have a vitamin a daily, right? Tell them why that's important.
Well, it's as I explained earlier.
Looks like. Did you put it in the chat? Oh, yeah, you did.
Okay. Yeah, I did. Okay. And so it's what I explained earlier. It's your insurance policy and making sure you get your daily complement of micronutrients that we talked about that your body needs. And this is a food-based vitamin that I explained earlier. So it's going to make sure that on a daily basis your cells get fed. Same with our ultra greens.
Why is that important?
Ultra greens are a combination of plant and seed greens that gives you an alkaline and oxygenating mineral-rich drink that also, again, it gives you that complement of micronutrients that's going to assure that your body gets fed on a cellular level. And lastly, in terms of our supplements, these are the staples that I recommend. This comes in chocolate and vanilla. This is our plant-based protein. Again, I don't recommend dairy, and I recommend staying away from dairy. So this is a plant-based protein that you can use for either a meal replacement or just a supplement for those who are very active, to make sure we get our daily complement of protein that helps us rebuild and replenish our muscles and connective tissues that need protein to stay healthy and rebuild.
So those are your three staples you want to make sure that you have.
Yes, in terms of supplementation.
Right.
But what I do want to talk about that we didn't talk about, just some basics on the nutrition part, on the diet part too, in terms of just making sure you eat. And I spoke about that earlier, making sure you eat healthy from your fats, your macros, which are your fats, proteins, and carbs. In terms of your proteins, I just say make sure you keep you make sure you keep your proteins fairly lean. You know, a little bit of fat is fine. However, the biggest thing about protein is what I said earlier. Make sure your meats are organic or at least all natural, because when you're eating conventionally raised meats, you're consuming the hormones and the antibiotics that are being injected in animals. And also remember, these conventionally raised animals are being fed mostly genetically modified corn and soy. So guess what? When you eat this meat, you're consuming those genetically modified foods also. So we know, we talked about earlier, in terms of investing in yourself and making yourself a priority.
Yes.
Even though it's a little bit more expensive, it's worth it. It's worth it. If you start to avoid these hormones and these antibiotics, I'm telling you, that alone can make a huge difference in what's going on internally. So just try and start buying more organic if possible, or at least all natural. Yeah. And you know, I recommend mostly poultry and fish, and just reducing the red meat intake, and overall reducing meat intake, and begin to supplement more with the plant-like protein. I'm not saying you can't eat meat or you have to stop eating meat, but just supplement a little more with plant protein. So that's number one. Number two, fruits and vegetables. Well, I want to give them this too. Fruits and vegetables. Make sure you get your complement of fruits and vegetables. That's where your micronutrient lies. Make it a mission to try to consume a salad or some greens or some vegetables of some sort daily. And that's in addition to your supplementation. Make sure you do that. Carbs, make sure you include just healthy grains. Stay away from the white rices and the breads and all the junk carbs. Try to eat, you know, more grains and beans, you know, such as your lentils or your wild rices, or you know, your oats and things like that.
And I'm just going to jump in here because it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
You know, it's a lot of information. This is what we do. This is how we live our life. So it's kind of be overwhelming if you're not accustomed to it. Just remember, you do not have to do it alone. Yes. All right. You need to. This is part of the solution. Getting with a tribe that is thinking along the same lines. You can have that support. You don't try to do it alone. First of all, you can't. Second of all, you don't have to. Okay. So if you are on YouTube right now, and we do have a private group, Michael, can you put that in the chat? We're going to put our private.
I'm hoping that this goes
just right there. We don't know if it does or not, but we're going to put it in there anyway.
Yeah, I will.
So join our Fitness and Fat Loss Secrets
Fitness
page.
and Fat Loss Secrets on Facebook.
On Facebook, and this way you can have the support, because we say these things over and over again. Repetition is everything.
Yes.
So
I'll put it in there.
Yeah, you kind of put that in there, and then
let me just close it out in terms of what I was saying. The last thing I'll say is make sure you include healthy fats. Healthy fats are also key, such as avocado, olive oil, nuts, healthy fats like that. Reducing, if weight loss is your journey, reducing your carb intake, even the healthy carbs, just reduce that carb intake and include a little more healthy fats in your diet. And actually that will actually help your weight loss journey more so than the reverse, eating more carbs and less healthy fats.
Mm-hmm. And I want to just close out for real. Feel like, said a Southern goodbye, right?
Yes, yes.
I've been closing out for the past 30 minutes.
Right.
We made a promise.
Uh-huh.
I want to keep that promise because we had promised that we were going to answer someone's question. I want to make sure we get to that. But one more thing I want you to put in the chat.
Yes.
So this upcoming first of all, tomorrow's Juneteenth. Yay. Okay, we want to make sure that we acknowledge that.
Yes.
We're going to have a Freedom Day workout. Fitness is important.
Right.
We're talking about being radical about our health, and that includes not only nutrition, but that includes fitness as well. In recognition of Juneteenth, in recognition of us liberating ourselves and freedom, etc., we are going to celebrate that with in a form of movement. We are doing a free workout. We're calling it our Freedom Day workout. It's this upcoming Saturday on the 26th. Michael just put that information in the chat.
Well, it'll be on all the streams.
Yeah, it'll
right?
be on the stream.
Yeah,
well, no, not necessarily. Not on YouTube. So, but I gave it to you. I put the link on that page that I gave you. Remember, I emailed it to you and I gave it to you, so you can just plug it right there. So he's going to put that, and you just go right to that, and you can register.
It's not going to be on this page here?
Yes, you can put it on there. And so Michael's putting that in the chat, so you can register for that. Again, it is free. It is our gift. It is in honor of Juneteenth. So that's our Freedom Day workout. We want to make sure that you have that. And last, we want to answer our question that we had earlier. We promised this person, I don't know if this person is still here, but there was a question about sports and whether or not how the food or diet.
We answered that.
You did answer it.
We answered
okay,
that.
okay. I thought we didn't answer it. I wanted to make sure I felt so bad. Okay. All right, so everything is there. If anybody, so yeah, I think we covered a lot.
Right.
So if anybody has any questions, yeah, go ahead. I'll get that. You can stay there to answer the question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you have any further questions, put that in the chat.
Yeah, if you have any questions that you want to ask before we go ahead and put it in the chat. If not, then
then we'll see.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And we're going to put this list. We're going to put this list of ingredients, and we're going to post that in private groups. Y'all
it's a long list.
It's a long list, so we got a lot to look out for. But like always, it's been great. We always enjoy having these check-ins with everybody. We look forward to seeing y'all next Saturday with our rhythm vocal workout.
Next Saturday.
So we put it in the chat. Who wants to know where she can get our vitamins? Put it right in the chat.
www.bodynaturalnutrients.com. And I'll say it. We put it in the chat, but it's www.bodynaturalnutrients.com. Just like it sounds. Body Natural, Natural Nutrients. NUTRIENTS.com.
Jen is taking radical action. She says she is placing her order right now. That's what I'm talking about. Take action, guys. We have to be really serious about our health again.
Thanks, Jen.
And in the spirit of taking action, we will see y'all next week.
Next Saturday morning at
8:30 a.m.
Pacific time.
So that's 11:30, right?
Yeah, that's 11:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
So join us for our Rhythm Rumble workout.
It's virtual and live, so no matter where you are, you can join in on us. We put that in the chat as well. Just click that to register.
And if you'd like to order your sticks, check out the link. You can order your sticks as well to really enhance your experience.
Yes. Okay, thank you to Dominic.
Yes.
All
right. Thank you all for joining. And we'll see you next Saturday, or anytime. Feel free to place something on our fitness page.
Absolutely.
And we'll do our best to respond.
Now we got to figure out, we're using a new platform. So all right, bye everybody. We'll probably be here for a minute trying to figure out how to save this, because we're not sure. We promised some people who couldn't make it that they would be able to look at it, and we hope we don't erase this right now. But So we're just kind of hanging out, trying to figure things out.
Right.
Y'all feel free to get on with the day, place your orders, and all that good stuff. So.
All right. So on this Restream.
All right. Let's figure it out, Mike. Let's not mess this up.
Okay.
Ooh, but maybe if you turn it that way, you'll be able to see more options.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
okay. Here's the. Let me see. Here's the stuff at the top.
That'll tell you where to record it.
Well, I don't know if does it supposed to record it, or is it, or does it automatically do it?
I don't know. You always have an option.
Let's see. I think it automatically does it.
No, we never know. I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, I don't see
There's
any.
no option?
Yeah, I don't see any option.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so I mean, we can.
So what have been the okay.
Thanks, Darnika.
Thank you, Darnika. Bye. Okay, good. Darnika's taking action. Love
Okay.
it.
So yeah, I guess we would have to end and then find out from there what happens.
You want to take it over here?